Okay, you couldn't hear me. Thank you, Miss Elizabeth. I thought I turned the mic on. Anyway, welcome. And you said, am I sneaking? I'm not really sneaking around. I am here. Anyway, it is May the 4th, and a lot of folks say, May the 4th be with you, and they're always, of course, thinking about Star Wars. So I got out some of my Star Wars stamps over the last couple of days and went ahead and stamped out and colored a bunch of these little guys out. These are from Kindred Stamps. I've used a couple of them. I know I've used the set that has her in it. Let's see, that one is called Kindred's Galactic Adventures, and then they've got a couple of other ones, Galactic Adventures 2nd and 3rd. Thank you, Miss Elizabeth. I appreciate you keeping me on task, honey. So anyway, when I thought of, oh my God, it is May the 4th, so I need to do something else that I have never done before, and I needed to make some galaxy backgrounds. So after I decided to do that, and after I kind of announced it to all of you guys, I started practicing a little bit because I've never done it before. So this was my first little sample. I just took a small piece of watercolor paper, and it turned out okay. The splatter's not all that good, but you know, I'm trying to learn a little bit. This was my second one. Both of these are on watercolor, by the way. The splatter's getting a little bit better, and I'm super glitchy. Okay, I'm unplugging and plugging back in the microphone, so hopefully that's better. Okay, so this was the first one that I did. I've never done these before, so I wanted to at least give it a shot. And this was just a scrap of watercolor paper. So the first few that I did last night were on watercolor paper, and you can kind of tell that I'm a little nervous about putting the black down. So the first two turned out okay. I really do like this one though. This one I put a lot more black in. I've got some strips of different colors in there, and then I did a much better job of doing the splatter with the gouache. So I really like the way that I did that one. My husband, on the other hand, likes this one better because the stars are not quite as stark white. He says that's not what the sky looks like. Well, you know, if you're living in the city, this is probably what the stars look like. If you're living in the country or something where you can actually see the sky, this is what it's going to look like. Anyway, I decided to do a couple more using Distress Oxides, and that's what these turned up with. And just taking a quick look, it looks like the gouache kind of changed color. It's kind of... This looks almost like it's absorbing some of the ink, and I didn't know it was going to do that. But that's interesting. And this one, of course, is a little... It's supposed to look a little bit like like the Milky Way. So those, I think, I like those pretty good too. And the gouache I'm using is just some cheap gouache that I've got from... Yes, it is gouache. From Artist Loft. I got this at Michael's quite a while back as part of a kit, you know, a set of gouache, because that was the only way I could find it at the time. And I used it. You can tell it's barely been opened. So I figured what I would start off with is doing some more with the watercolor. And again, you know, I don't have a clue what I'm doing with this because I haven't done it before. But this is going to be good practice. Let me get out my cutting board so I can try to keep this thing somewhat straight on there. And I had some tape out here like 5 minutes ago, and I think the gremlins are bothering me again. I am so glad that you like those. Okay, okay, this isn't working. Settings. Okay, so let's see how this works. The YouTube was telling me that I was not having a smooth stream, and there was buffering, so I just adjusted one of the settings. I have no idea if that's going to work good for you or not. So let me know if it's clear or not, if it's, you know, out of focus, if you have a lot of buffering. Let me know so I can try to do another adjustment if I need to. And I am still looking for that tape that was sitting here right on my desk just a little bit ago. There we go. If I can get the tape to come off of there. So I'm just going to go ahead and tape down my watercolor paper down to some, just down to a cutting board. This makes it easier for me to move it around. And I would love to see how you thought it was you buffering. No, it was, I mean, they're still telling me. Now it says I have an excellent connection. I don't know what's going on with my YouTube. And I'm having more trouble just getting the tape to come off of the roll than I did last night. And this is just some cheap masking tape that I've got from Dollar Tree. I mean, I bought it a long time ago. I figure I might as well use it up, right? And I'll be cutting the panel down anyway, so it really doesn't matter. So I've got my Michaels watercolors here. Yeah, I think this is the one I'm going to use. I was thinking about using the pearlescent, and a couple of my watercolor brushes that I've got from Michaels. And I think one thing I'm going to do a little different than what I did last night when I was trying is I'm going to go ahead and put some, and my brush isn't clean, but oh well. But I'm going to go ahead and put some water down first, and maybe I'll be able to get a little bit more movement. And this is just a light layer of water. I'm going to start off with one of the yellows. I mean, I like the real bright colors of the yellows, but they're almost so light that you don't see it. I have no idea what's going on with my brush. I thought that I had cleaned these a little bit ago, and I thought they were nice and clean and not a problem. Anyway, I'm just going to put down some color. Try to clean that off a little bit more, get some more clean water. And grab some of this slightly darker yellow. Just put some of that down. And I think I'm going to just grab some of this reddish color. None of these have any kind of labels on them. Last night I was using what I thought was a red, and it turns out it was like a dark orange or a medium orange. And then the next one I tried was kind of purplish. And this one is kind of burnt sienna, I think. And I'm going to go in with some blue. Which of course turns into purple and brown as soon as I get it into this red that's got some orange in it. Okay, so I'm going to try a different red, I think. And I'm kind of leaving that yellow in the middle just because I think that that's kind of how it would be, you know, with a star or sun kind of in the center and then the colors kind of fading out. So that's still there because I just saw that my OBS apparently went off and came back on, so I want to make sure that you guys are still there. And I'm going to go ahead and go in with this darker purple, I think. Oh, that's pretty. Okay, so you can still see me. Thank you, Miss Elizabeth. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just dry this. And then I can start adding some of the black. Or depending on how much this dries back, I may go back in with some more color. That's kind of what I did with this one. I kept going back in because I was never happy. I am just too much of a perfectionist sometimes, I think. Which is one reason why I hadn't really tried this before. But now I've got multiple panels. I want to make more, which means I'm going to have to make a bunch of galaxy kind of cards. So what have you guys been doing today? One thing that I find kind of interesting is when I'm working, you know, when I'm crafting, I'm creating, and I've got the camera on, it looks one way, and then I look up at the screen and it's like, oh my god. I never know how nice it's going to actually look until I look up at the camera and see what's actually going on. And I know, Miss Elizabeth, you've got... You probably get the same kind of experience when you work on this kind of stuff too, because you've got your channel going too. So it looks like there's some more folks that have popped in. Please say hello and let us know where you're watching from. We are making galaxy backgrounds today, and first method I'm trying is watercolor. And this is something I'm not good at, and the first ones I've done were the ones I tried last night because I wanted to make sure I knew a little bit about what I was doing before I came on with you guys. But this has actually been really, really fun. And hello, Miss TR. So, Elizabeth, you went out food shopping, and I'm going to do that tomorrow. Let's see. I'm going to go with this dark blue up here and just add a little bit more of that color in. It's layering over some of the purple. I think that looks kind of cool though. Just deepens that purple up some. And this is just my cheapo watercolors that you guys have seen me use lots of times that I got from Michael's. And hopefully by the time I get done with this set and want to move on to something else, I will have actually learned what I'm doing a little bit. Okay, I think I'm going to go back in with some of this red or red-orange. I don't really know which one in this set is actually red anymore. Looks kind of neat. Ooh, you got some new stamps, huh? Yeah, I'm supposed to have some new stuff coming in from from Spellbinders. I went ahead and got some more stuff because they had that massive sale. I couldn't resist. Don't really want that brown there. Let's clean up some of that. And I can put some more yellow down and that'll look better. There we go. This kind of looks stormy. Well, hello, Miss Mary. Nice to meet you, hon. Welcome. And in case you guys didn't know it, it is May the 4th, so May the 4th be with you. One of the stamp sets that, the stamp set that actually inspired me to do this was one of mine that I've got from Kindred Stamps. I've got some of the Star Trek ones. I love their stamps. I mean, I don't really know of many companies that do a lot of the, you know, they do takeoffs on a lot of the shows that I love to watch. I mean, I've got ones for Sam and Dean Winchester. I've got Doctor Who, which one of these would work really good with Doctor Who too. Okay, I think that's probably messy enough. I'm going to go ahead and dry this again. Oh, I've got so many mermaids. I need to get, well, I have to admit that over the last year I haven't done as much stamping, I guess, of characters. I've been doing more, you know, digital stamps and trying to use pattern paper and a lot of things like that, but I haven't done as much coloring as I was doing. So I don't know about you, but I kind of go through. Okay, yes. The first ones I was talking about, these are Star Trek. So we've got Leia, Darth Vader, Luke, and Han Solo on the first set. It's called Galactic Adventures, and then they came out with a few more, and the three that I have the second, which has, I forgot her name, but it's got R2-D2 and C-3PO in it. It's got an Ewok, and it's too cool. And then, oh, I'm sorry, did I say Star Trek? I think they have Star Trek also, but I know they've got Star Wars. And, oh, I was thinking I had put my stamps away, but I didn't. This is my bin of pop culture characters. So most of these are from Kindred stamps. I do have a few from Sassy Club, which is kind of cool because it's, you know, these are from Harry Potter. This one is Game of Thrones. This one's Harry Potter. This one's Labyrinth. Stranger Things. This one, of course, is Mary Poppins. I've got... my brain just stopped. Well, you'll know who it is. I've got zombies. I've got my witch sisters. I've made several things with this one. Let's see. We've got Nightmare Before Christmas. This one I really like because this one was Rocky Horror Picture Show. We've got Beetlejuice. You've got superheroes. You got Supernatural. So this one is supposed to be Castiel. They don't look anything like the guys, but that's okay. So we've got Sam and Dean and Castiel, and of course we've got the car, which is awesome. My people skills are rusty. Anyway, these are just too cool. And this one is, you probably have not heard of this show, but this one is Serenity. Firefly. I absolutely love that show, and it didn't last very long. Anyway, you can tell at one point I kind of went crazy with all of the Kindred stamp stuff, and there's so many more that I want, and I do have a Doctor Who around here somewhere. Of course, I want the other Doctor Who's. You love Rocky, awesome. And Labyrinth was one of those movies that I watched over and over and over again. They've got Princess Bride. And one thing you may want to do is check out Lauren Taylor's channel. She does a lot of cards with Kindred stamps. And she does a lot of other ones too, but I've seen quite a few of the Kindred stamps ones on there. Okay, so I've got a little bit that's not wanting to dry that's actually on the tape, so let me just mop that up. And no, I'm not affiliated in any way with... Yes, you paid for your mom to see Nathan Fillion. That is awesome. I hated when Castle died. When Castle died, when the show was over. And I've got it, of course, on DVD. So next, after we get all the color down the way that we want it, we have to mess it all up by adding lots and lots of black. I think one of my favorite parts with watching Castle was that they kept on having these references back to Firefly and Serenity. It was just too funny. Like Halloween, where he's going to dress up to be a space cowboy, and he wears his costume from when he was Captain Reynolds. Okay, so I've got this black down here, and I'm going to start adding it, and I'm hopefully not going to be as timid as I was first time around. I also don't want to cover everything. I need to... Okay, having it on screen, it makes it a little easier and not quite as nerve-wracking. So how many of you guys, how many of you done this? How many of you have made galaxy backgrounds? Yeah, when they did away with Castle, we always watched everything recorded. We didn't watch them live. So we basically, my husband still has not watched the last episode. So I've watched it, and I've watched it a couple of times, and I don't like that they like the ending, but I understand. And he was apparently part of it was just, I think it's weird. They felt that when Castle and Beckett got together, it turned people off, but I thought it was sweet, and I thought that they did a great job, and I loved the show, and I didn't want it to go away. But we've got too many of those shows that do that. Okay, I am not sure if that is too much black or not, but it kind of looks like it to me. So I'm going to dry it and see if I can get it to lighten up a little bit, and then we'll do some splatter on there. TR, I'm going to be trying the oxide inks too. This is one of the ones that I did in watercolor last night, and I really love the way that it turned out. I showed these earlier. This was the first attempt. It's just on a scrap of watercolor paper. And then this is my second attempt, where I was still afraid of all of the black that I was putting down. And then this one, I think I went back and forth over the whole thing, I don't know how many times before I finally got the look that I liked. And it's multiple layers of paints, and then my husband thinks that the white gouache stars are too bright, but oh well, I like it. And then today I went back and I did a couple of them that are using the oxides. So here's one of the ones that I did with oxides today. It is, in my opinion, I'm not sure on this. It looks like the stars are not quite as white as I expected them to be. And that was using the same gouache that I used for the other, and then I did this one as a second one. And that was just so that I had a little bit of an idea of what to do when I came on here with you guys. Okay. So, I'd say that is pretty dry, except for what's seeped under the tape, because the tape's not holding. Like I said, this is cheap Dollar Tree tape. So I'm going to use my other brush that's smaller and just do a little bit of droplets on here. And mop those up. And hopefully it will do what it's supposed to do and lift a little bit of that color. Lift a little bit of the black so we can see through it. I think I need to use my bigger brush, but it's got yucky on it. So you like this one, TR, and you like this one. It just means that I was getting better as I kept trying. Oops. So some of these droplets are a little bit big, but that's going to be okay. And it's only pulling up a little bit of the color. That is kind of an interesting texture though. See this? It's got that kind of cool texture. I kind of like that. I think I'm going to put down some more just because I like the texture. Okay, so now that I've got all of that down and it looks like a hot mess, I'm going to use some white gouache and attempt to put some stars down. This is a tube that I've had for a while, and as you can tell, it is pretty full, meaning I never actually used it. I think I've had it for a year or two and never got around to using it. I am learning a little bit though because of trying to play with these things. What I've found is that the bigger brush is definitely helping me to get everything mixed well, but it also makes for those bigger stars, which was kind of neat. I still think that is a little too much. And I don't really know what kind of consistency I'm supposed to get on this stuff yet, but and I'm going to say that that's probably all of the bigger ones that I want to get. So I'm going to try this and get it, try to do some smaller ones. And I of course don't know when to stop. So I probably got a little bit too, probably a little too many stars on there, but that should be okay anyway. It'll dry back pretty nice, I think. So one thing I did find when I was doing this, it does on the ones when I was experimenting, is that it doesn't really take all that long to do it. The watercolor ones I think took longer than when I was trying to do some with the oxides. Hey Chuck, I saw that you had said that you were coming and I'm thinking, what? Chuck is an old friend of mine, Charles Starling. I haven't seen him in at least 30 years. But I thought that that was kind of sweet that you decided to come and hang out with us ladies on when we're doing our little crafting thing. So I'm going to go ahead and set this one to the side, and like I said, this was on watercolor paper. And I'm going to grab some scraps that I still have of my Michaels and a bunch of my oxide inks. So I'm going to just grab a bunch of different colors, and I got speckled egg. I finally got speckled egg. And yeah. So all of these are just some of the distress oxides. I'm kind of going to do the same thing that I did on the other, where I kind of like the yellow in the middle. I don't think there's really a reason to do that other than if you want it to kind of be your the center of your galaxy. Put a little bit more of that. So this one is fossilized amber. And then I'm going to go around that with some spiced marmalade. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm trying, although it doesn't, like I said, it does on this kind of a project, it really doesn't matter all that much. Hi, Miss Cordelia. Don't worry, honey. I will show off all of the experiments that I've made so far. I did some experimenting before the live so that I could have a little bit of an idea of what I'm doing. So I'm trying to make it so that the stuff that the colors don't really turn into mud. So that's the reason that I went with yellow first, and then I'm putting some orange right beside it. And then I think I'm going to go with the Warren lipstick. The only reason I'm using this one instead of a regular red is because I want brighter colors behind the black. And I do like these blending brushes. They are working really well. They get the color down pretty well. I don't feel like I have to fight with them as much as I do with my regular the round blending brushes. So going in with some purple. This one is Dusty Concord. And I'm already getting my fingers in the ink, and I don't want to do that, so I'm just putting some masking tape down with the sticky side against my fingers so that I don't get my fingers in the ink. And then I'm going to go in with some of that speckled egg. And of course I'm making a humongous mess all over my glass mat, but that is going to be actually a good thing. I'm thinking that chipped sapphire would work really good on this too, so I may do that on one later. But this is my first time getting to use these speckled eggs, so I had to. And I am mixing it in with that Dusty Concord. Looks kind of interesting. I am going to go in and spray all of this with my distress sprayer, but I think I want to put some of the... I'm going to put in the orange and yellow back in there in the center because they kind of got muted out. And I'm just wiping it off a little bit on a microfiber cloth so that hopefully I don't get too much of the other colors mixed in on it for next time I use my orange. Okay, so there's the spice marmalade. Pretty speckled egg. I don't have Kitsch Flamingo yet. I have to get that at some point. And right now, looking at the screen, I can tell that little spot of yellow in the middle looks like it's glowing. So, are you guys seeing the same thing I am? Does that yellow look like it's glowing? And I think I probably muted it out a little bit. To me, it looks like it's glowing, so I don't really need to put any more of that stuff on there. Get my brushes out of the way. Okay, so get another paper towel. And I'm going to do a little bit of spritzing on the panel here because I want some of those colors to show through each other. And on the distress sprayer, there's actually, this is something I didn't know for a very long time, so that's why I'm sharing it. There are two settings. One is a regular spray, the other one is that one that does the little bits. So it kind of does the more the splotchiness, like you guys probably can see on there. I had no idea that there were two settings on the darn thing. Doing a little bit more on there. Okay, so now I'm going to set that to the side. Set this on regular spray. And grab me another panel. And of course, you got to do your ink smooshing. You got ink sitting here, so might as well use it, right? I have no idea how this is going to work because I've got such bright colors on there. Ooh, and now it's kind of washing around. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about the coughing. I don't know what's going on with me today. So that is kind of pretty just for a background on its own. So we don't really have to add any black to it. So I'm going to just set that one to the side, and I'll decide later if I want to add any more ink to it. Okay, now we've got this guy, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my black soot. And for this one I am using just a regular blender, and you guys will probably see the same. Okay, I had the thing away from my mouth. Sorry about that. But you'll probably see that the way that I use it is a lot different than with these other brushes. These other brushes are just so easy. Get my tape again. And one thing I've always had trouble with was getting that. I always had those circular marks that show up in it. So I'm trying to use that to my advantage, to be honest, this time. I'm trying to just use that edge to make kind of cloudy looking, I guess. Does make that, right now it looks like that the center section is glowing a bit more, which is nice. I think I need to practice doing this kind of thing because I love the effects that it's getting. I mean, the ink blending that I've done so far has been really trying to just blend everything out and blend it all together. And I don't know if that's really the effect that I want or if I want a more artistic look on things. But I'm really liking this kind of looks. I don't know how to describe it, but to me it looks like that center section is kind of just popping off the page. Okay, so I'm going to also go ahead and go back in with some more water and try to get some of that other colors to show through a little bit. And of course I had it on regular spray. But let's see how that part looks. Gave it a little texture, so that's kind of cool. I think that's what I'm going to do. Do a little bit of the regular spray. This is going to just give it some texture. And you guys know me, I have gotten to be a lot lately anyway. I'm experimenting with so many different things. So now we've got a little bit of extra texture there, and that looks kind of cool. And I'm going to do the bigger droplets. Let that sit for a second. And I think I want a little bit more. So this is kind of like the stars that are farther away, and then the gouache will be like the ones that are bigger and brighter and closer. Okay. And where did I put? There it is. So I'm still using that same block. I just put some more of the white gouache down. And I think I'm going to start with the smaller brush this time and try to do some of the smaller ones. Right now I do have a thicker consistency than I did earlier on my other panel, so maybe this will make it, I hope it still splatters, but maybe this will make them show up better. That looks kind of cool. And now I'm going to add a little bit more water and get it on my bigger brush. Let's see if I can get some of those bigger ones. I can tell that the splatters are starting to change color a little bit. So they are turning a little lighter, which is kind of, not sure if that's the way it's supposed to work, but it's probably because of the kind of gouache that I'm using. This seems to be working really well with the watercolor, but when it comes to the inks, it seems like it's, I mean, some of these little spots are turning yellow. So speed-wise, doing one of these panels with the distress ink seems to be faster. You don't have to wait for things to dry nearly as fast. I mean, you have to wait on every layer to be able to get it with this. But I'm also noticing that the watercolor seems to wind up drying back darker and more vibrant than the inks are. So let me go ahead and just clean up some of this, and then I will show you all of the panels that I did, because we're about out of time anyway. I'm going to be making some cards out of these guys really soon. I've actually got a couple of ideas that I'm already working on for those, because it's so cool. Yeah, that is a pretty background too. I like that. Okay. So my first experiment, and remember, I have never done this before. So what do I tell you guys every week? If I can do it, you can too. Well, this is proof. I've never done these before. This is the first one I did. I just grabbed a scrap of watercolor paper and messed around with it and basically wound up sopping up most of the color that I put down because it kind of made me nervous. And it does have some splotches on there. Not a lot. I'm trying to get it to focus. There we go. So that was the first one. And then this one was my second one. And again, I didn't put much of the black down. And this is again on watercolor paper, so it was watercolor panel that I did. And this is the third one that I did. This time I tried to be a little bit more controlled because I'm trying to get used to putting all of that black paint down. So I put different stripes of color down and then put black over pretty much everything, trying not to cover everything, but I think it turned out okay. I did, again, it's where I'm real big on, I do too much blending. So this one had a lot of blending, I think, so there's really not many harsh lines. Then I went and started playing with some, with the oxides. So this is the first panel I did with the oxides. And those white spots, in the light that I'm looking at, they look kind of yellowish, so I think they're absorbing some of the ink. This was the second one, and this one was actually just the smushed. I did another smushed background from the excess and just covered most of it up with black. So I could do that with the pink one. And then, of course, these are the ones that I made with you guys tonight. This one, I think I probably have a little bit too harsh of lines, but I think it's going to still look really cool on a card. So what I would love to see is, first off, if you guys did this with me tonight, post over in our Facebook group. Let me see what you did. I would love to see that. You guys know that. But let me see what kind of panels you did. And then if you're not in our Facebook group, go on over there and join us. There's a link down in the description below, and we would love to have you hang out with us. I'm going to go ahead and, since we're done with the panels, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. I know it's a few minutes early this week, but then again, I held you really late before. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and seeing my attempts at some galaxy backgrounds, and I will post the pictures of the cards that I create with these over on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, wherever. I'm probably going to have at least one of the panels included in one of the card videos that I've got coming up. So I will see you guys soon. There is a Dies R Us design team project video that's coming up on Thursday this week. I don't think I've got anything else planned, but I will have something else come up this next weekend, but that's the only design team thing I've got right now. So I will see you guys soon, and thanks you again for so much for dropping in and hanging out with me. And don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and comment down in the down in the comment section if you would. That lets YouTube know that you like hanging out with me, and share this with your crafty friends. I would love to have some more folks come and hang out with us. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for hanging out with me the whole time, Miss Elizabeth. I really appreciate that. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I will chat with you soon. Talk to you later.